Alright, so I'm getting ready to do my 2 mile walk, not necessarily because of my martial arts stuff, but I am rechecking my pace count. Now, I used that shed back there to set up 106 feet, and I paced that. It came out 18 several times. One time I got 18 and a half to 19. My pace count used to be 20, but it seems to be 18. I don't know if I'm taking bigger steps the older I'm getting. I don't get that, but I have my beads with me. I am going on my 2 mile walk because I know it's 2 miles because I use my bicycle to determine that. From my door, my route that I use back to my door is 2 miles. So I'm gonna, instead of writing it down, I'm gonna use the camera as a note taker. And let me run through here real quick. All right, so I don't use my pace beads exactly the way most people probably do. So I just got a little thing I just made real quick here to throw on here. So here are these are my big pace beads. These are the ones that hang on my large ruck. Now you can go with 4 on top and 9 on the bottom, but I like having 5 and 10. It just makes me feel better. So generally what happens is, and I use feet and miles more than I do meters and kilometers, just because that's what I'm used to. It does change a little bit of the math, but it still works for me. So normally what happens is you use the larger number of beads to count your paces, and once you hit a mile, so X amount of paces on these beads, once you get down to the last bead, you hit a mile and you drop one of the bottom beads, or I'm sorry, one of the smaller top beads, right? I don't do it that way, only because in my case, now again, my pace has been 20 for a long time, and it seems to have knocked down to 18. Again, I take smaller increments. So instead of using the 10 beads on the bottom first, I use the 5 top beads. All right, so this is how you normally do it, how I've normally seen people do it. Let's just say that you have to take 100 steps 10 times, 1,000 steps, which is what mine kind of is. When it was 20, it seems like it's 18 now. But anyway, normally what you do is you count 100 steps and you drop a bead, one of the 10. You do that 10 times, and there's your 1,000 steps and 1 mile. Then you drop one of the 5 beads to hit a mile. The problem with that for me is I have to count 100 paces and drop a bead. Count another 100 paces, drop a bead. I get too distracted. My mind wanders. My focus just isn't there to count 100 steps and drop a bead. So I have reversed that, and I use the top beads, and instead of 100 steps for 1 bead on the bottom, I do 20 steps for 1 bead on the top. So I go 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So that is my 100. So if I forget or jack up something, I'm only off by no more than 20 beads, rather than I could be off by, or 20 steps, rather than I can be off by 100 steps. So I hit 20 steps, I drop a top bead. 20, 20, 20, 20. That's 100 steps. Boom, I hit my 100. I drop a bottom bead. There's my 100. I go back up to the top bead. 20, 20, 20, 20. Boom, boom, boom. I hit 100. I drop another bead. And once I get all of the 10 beads done, there's a mile. Now, generally, I keep a spare set of beads available to me in case I need them for something else. I use those spare beads to keep track of the miles. That way, I'm not off a lot. If I had to count 100 steps and drop a bead, I'm going to get distracted. I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to get distracted. So this way, I only have to drop 20 steps with a bead, and once I get all 10 of these beads done, there's 1 mile. Now, if I didn't have the spare beads available, I'd stick an acorn in my pocket, or stick a rock in my pocket, or pick up something that isn't going to be, destroyed or whatever, something that I can keep track of if I needed to keep track of that many miles. Jot it down in a notebook. I always like to keep notebooks with me. So anyway, that's how I generally do it. So I'm going to go on this 2 mile. We'll see. I still, even though right now it says my pace is 18 instead of 20, I still think that if I have to walk any big distance, I'm going to lose a little bit of step, and my strides aren't going to be as long. So I'm thinking it's going to end up being about 20, which means it hasn't changed in 30 some years. So I think that's pretty decent. My pace hasn't really changed most of my adult life. So let's get on this walk and check it out. I'm not going to film everything, but I will be keeping track of my pace from the time I step off of this patio until I get back on the patio, and we will see whether or not I get 2 miles out of it. I'll definitely get 2 miles out of it, but we'll see where my pace count is. So I should go through these twice. We'll see how close I am. We'll see how many steps I take more or less, and that'll be how much I'm off, and we'll work on it from there. So I'll get back with you maybe during the trek, but definitely after, when I get back. All right, right there should be 1 mile. So that rock right there signifies 1 mile. Just a tad bit away from that tree. If that rock disappears on me anytime soon, I am going to sit and take a break and relax for a few minutes. I'm going to repeat that, and I should be back at the house. Now, take into consideration that I'm not sure how many steps it'll be off compared to the bicycle, because as I recall, I think I stayed to the center of this paved path as much as possible when I was doing it with my bicycle, and I stayed more towards the side of it while I was doing this, and it does weave. As you can see, it does do weaves and everything, so that may cause a little bit of difference. I'm not expecting a whole lot of difference between what my pace beads tell me and what my bike told me. So again, I am going to take a break, but I will restart with my foot right here, and when I get ready, and we'll see how close we are to hitting the patio when we hit that last 1,000. So far I think it's worked out pretty good. Again, I did not go with my 18 steps, which is what it says I have. I have stuck with the 20 steps that I have been doing for more years than I can remember. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Depending on if I'm over, maybe I can hit that. Maybe it's really 18 and I need to hit 18 instead of 20 on these. So right now it's 20 steps for each one of these top beads, and that's 100 steps, and then that drops a bottom bead. I may have to do 18, or I may have to add to 23 or something like that. I don't know, but we will see. Again, I'll have to consider that I'm doing 2 miles. So not just in theory, but realistically, the longer I go, the shorter my steps should get eventually. I'm not sure if 2 miles is long enough for me to start shortening my strides. I am also considering keeping the 20 because longer distances my strides will shorten, and if it's really 18, if I go longer distances, that will make up over the mileage. So there are many things. This isn't a precise science, and it's constantly changing. If you work off of pace beads and you do not recheck them at least once a year, you probably need to. And I'll be honest, I haven't redone my pace beads 20-30 years, but we'll see how accurate it still is. Also with keeping pace, so I've gone 300 more steps, and I decided I wanted to stop for a break. I don't want to get too tired and jack up my pace. As long as you keep track of your pace count, you can go as slow as you want. You can stop anytime you want. There's my feet. There's the foot. It stays right there. I don't have to worry about it. So I'll take a break, and then I'll continue on. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Oh, that one's going to go up here. So I should have 300 more steps and be at the house. So I'm at the edge of the storage unit. Right there where that blue car is at, I should turn right. We'll see. 300 more steps is all I've got. And as soon as I hit those 300 steps, we'll stop and we'll see exactly where we are. I should be so close to the patio that it should not make a difference, but we will see. Now, if I had another person holding the camera, I would continue to film, but it's just me. So I guess you guys are just gonna have to take my word for it that I'm not cheating. All right, so I've got 200 more paces to go from this spot, and it is not gonna take 200 paces because I'm that far away from right there. So maybe the 18 is appropriate. Let's see how many more paces it takes, and we'll talk when we get to the patio. All right, it only took another 16 paces. So it's close to 1 bead. So that means I am 20, 40, 60, 80, 180 paces off. Now, that 180 is not short. I have an extra 180 paces. So if I dropped 2 paces per bead, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, if I dropped 10 paces, or 10, if I drop those 10 and you double that, or I'm sorry, 10 by the 10 is 100 paces. So that would drop it down, and then I have 80, which would be 20 paces. If I went at 18 paces instead of 20 paces, I would have only been off by 20 paces. Just one top bead. So I think 18 is my pace. not 20. I'm taking too many steps. So instead of taking 20 steps per top bead, these top 5 beads, I should only be taking 18 steps. And if I did that, instead of being off 180 paces, I would only be off 20 paces. Now, over a distance, that 20 paces will be made up, but not by 2 miles. If I had to walk straight 2 miles, which would be okay, I would not be off that much. So, this has shown me, for some reason, I've improved my pace count from 20 down to 18. I only have to take 18 steps instead of 20 steps to reach my mile. So I hope I didn't confuse you when I was talking, because I was off 180 paces. 2 bottom beads, well, 1 bottom bead and 4 of the 5 top beads, which is 180 paces. And that's me with 20 steps. So if I were to drop those 2 steps per top bead, that would make up 100 paces. Now, I did that for 2 miles, so it would have been 200 paces, but I was only off 180. So that means I was only 20 paces off. So I would have only been 1 top bead, or, well, actually 1 top bead and 2 steps, because it's supposed to be 18, not 20. So I would have only been off of my pace by 1 top bead and 2 steps versus being off 180 paces. So 18 is my pace count, not 20. That I just verified that. So from now on, instead of taking 20 steps with every top bead, I'm only going to take 18, and that should be accurate. It should be good to go. I will do it again. Probably won't film it, but I will recheck it a couple times. But I just don't see that there's an error in that, because forever my pace has been 20, and if I knock it down to 18, then the math will come out. I will be off by about 20 steps, but if I'm looking for a landmark, I mean, if I can't see it within 20 steps of me, I'm probably blind anyway and never find it anyway. So I'm good to go. My pace count is 18. I will redo all of my documentation for my pace count and my mapping, so that it will reflect 18 steps instead of 20, and I'm good to go.